What if I told you the so-called king of the South had just transformed into the king of courtroom chaos? A man once untouchable by scandals now caught in the harshest spotlight of his life. Imagine King Harris, the flashy son of T.I., 1 week draped in diamonds, parading online with cars, money, and arrogance, and the very next week shackled in cuffs, surrounded by flashing lights that made the arrest feel more like a movie premiere than a police takedown. The courtroom moment itself was unforgettable. The judge's gavel slammed, delivering not months of probation, or a slap on the wrist, but a brutal 5-year sentence that sucked the air out of the room, leaving silence so heavy even the most hardened reporters froze in disbelief. Witnesses swore T.I. snapped, leaping forward, pounding his hand on the bench, his voice echoing with words too raw to broadcast, while officers scrambled to maintain order, as chaos exploded inside those 4 walls. But the bigger question was whether this was true justice or something deeper. A public takedown orchestrated not just to punish a reckless kid, but to humiliate an entire dynasty. Outside, fans screamed betrayal, hashtags erupted on Twitter, and insiders whispered of vendettas, sealed deals, prosecutors sharpening their knives not just for King, but for the Harris name itself. Some even claimed this wasn't simply about a father watching his son fall. It was the signal that an empire, one built over decades of resilience, hustle, and survival, was crumbling piece by piece before the world's eyes. And to understand how we got here, you have to rewind to the reckless spiral of King Harris himself. A kid who grew up in the shadow of rap royalty, but carved out his own identity by flaunting chaos. He was brash, streaming live videos of fights, flaunting stacks of cash, and shouting about being untouchable, while everyone around him whispered it was only a matter of time before it all collapsed. The truth is, King wasn't just reckless, he was bait, whether he knew it or not, because the system had been watching him, collecting evidence, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce. This wasn't just about one arrest. It was about a dynasty that had danced for years on the thin edge between admiration and controversy. T.I., the man who built his brand on surviving gun charges, public beefs, and industry scandals, had always managed to bounce back. But this time survival wasn't about him alone, it was about his bloodline. And the stakes were far higher. Rumors swirled that prosecutors had been tailing King for months, using wiretaps, surveillance, and informants, turning his social media antics into evidence and his arrogance into ammunition for a case that felt bigger than him. The arrest itself was staged for maximum impact. Late at night, cameras already in place, police surrounding him with smirks that looked rehearsed, as if they had waited years for this exact moment. Witnesses described it like a scene from a blockbuster, complete with flashing lights, yelling, and King shouting about his father's name like it was a shield against consequences. But the officers seemed almost gleeful, determined to prove him wrong. From there, everything snowballed. The court appearances turned into viral spectacles, fans outside chanting, "Free King," while others mocked him with cruel memes, TMZ capturing every stumble of T.I., hoping for tears or cracks in the armor. Then came the sentencing. 5 years, not just a punishment, but a public statement, and suddenly T.I.'s dynasty looked vulnerable. He froze in court, gripping the bench, and as cameras replayed his stumble in slow motion, captions like, "The fall of a king" dominated headlines. But what the public didn't see was the storm brewing behind closed doors. At home, Tiny begged for appeals and legal fights, while T.I. grew silent, almost as if he already knew that digging deeper might expose truths that could ruin not just King, but the entire Harris empire. Meanwhile, the streets of Atlanta buzzed with whispers that the Harris family was weakened, rival crews circling like wolves smelling blood. Online, theories exploded. Was this really about King? Or was he just a pawn in a much larger plan? Supposed leaks and blurry screenshots, claimed prosecutors, had sealed evidence tied not just to King, but to financial irregularities, shady business deals, even names of other rappers and politicians. One viral tweet read, "They didn't lock up King, they baited T.I., and the narrative shifted. Suddenly this wasn't just a scandal, it was a takedown operation." Then came the so-called leaks, grainy screenshots of supposed emails between prosecutors and industry insiders hinting at backroom deals, even whispers of rival rappers feeding information to law enforcement. Whether true or fake didn't matter. Public opinion was already convinced that the Harris dynasty wasn't just cracking, it was being dismantled brick by brick. Brands backed out of deals, business partners distanced themselves, and even long-time collaborators pulled away, afraid of getting caught in the fallout. Inside prison, anonymous letters painted King as arrogant, clashing with guards, and bragging about his family name, fueling the narrative that he deserved no sympathy. And just when people thought the story had peaked, new rumors suggested sealed files contained names tied to Atlanta's entire cultural power structure, promoters, managers, politicians, even community leaders, hinting this was about cleaning house, not just punishing a reckless kid. If true, King's 5 years weren't punishment, they were bait, a warning shot, proof that nobody, no matter how powerful, was safe. Suddenly the question wasn't what King did, but who prosecutors were really after. Was T.I. the real target? Or was he just another pawn in an even bigger game? Every whisper, every leak, every meme fueled paranoia. Fans argued whether this was karma catching up to T.I. or systemic targeting of black hip-hop power. Meanwhile, inside the Harris household, paranoia turned into lockdown, phones confiscated, lawyers working through the night, and family members silenced as T.I. allegedly muttered, "This isn't about King, it's about me." If that was true, then the 5-year sentence was only the beginning of a darker storm. And as the wolves circled, as the vultures feasted, one haunting image remained seared into the public's mind, T.I. collapsing in that courtroom, powerless to stop the empire he built from shattering. The only question now is whether King Harris is just a reckless son paying the price of arrogance, or whether he's the pawn in a far more dangerous game designed to dismantle Atlanta's rap dynasty brick by brick. Either way, the scandal is far from over, and the whispers suggest that the darkest chapter is still to come, one that could reveal the true King prosecutors are really after.